Thanks for tuning in to another show in the Next Reel family of film podcasts.
Want to skip those ads and get early access?
Become a member at TruStory.fm/join and discover all the other great perks that come with it.
I'm Pete Wright.
And I'm Andy Nelson.
Welcome to the Next Reel. When the movie ends,
our conversation begins.
Alien Romulus is over. I can't lie about your chances, but you have my sympathies. I knew
Wait,
it was...
which movie were you quoting? What movie are you quoting?
Doesn't even matter.
I guess we'll find out. Oh my gosh.
We're talking about Alien Romulus, Andy. Alien Romulus is Fede Álvarez comes in and says, hey, you know what? All that other stuff that you've been talking about for the last two movies that you haven't quite figured out how to tell a story that fits into the universe, I'm going to go ahead and try it myself and see if I can do better than the OG. And for most of the movie, he does. That's the setup. For most of the movie, he does.
He doesn't do too bad. I'll give you that.
He doesn't do too bad compared to Ridley Scott doing the prequels, the first two. That's what I'm comparing it to.
Ridley Scott gets a lot of grace because of Alien.
Yes.
In this franchise, but he's had two clunkers that really have hurt his standings, let's just say. So
really hurt his standings. What is happening right now?
Oh man, yeah, this is it lands between Alien and Aliens, which I think is interesting to take it back to that point. And I will say the one thing that I instantly noted in this is like, wow, it actually looks like something that took place in that period of time, as opposed to Prometheus and Alien Covenant, which both look like they take place like 5,000 years later.
I know. What happened? Oh God, yeah.
But I did read something, and actually, since I brought that up, I just want to throw this out there because it was an interesting point that piqued my curiosity. I don't know if it sells it to me enough, but what I read was that Prometheus and Alien Covenant were in a world of corporate excess. We've got Peter Weyland, who's flying on the ship, as we find out in Prometheus. That ship is run by his daughter. It's a very, very nice ship. And Alien Covenant, I guess you could argue it's a Weyland-Yutani vessel going to populate a planet. So everybody is on kind of the nice, love boat sort of ship that they're flying across the universe, right? Aliens, Alien Romulus are in a world of the blue-collar workers.
The
of
dystopia.
People who are, they're the ones who are living down in the muck. They're the ones who are actually doing the work to terraform planets, etc. And the logic that I read was that Prometheus and Alien Covenant look the way they do because of that, because they're operating at a much higher budget level in the corporate world as far as what they get to fly in, as opposed to what we're seeing in this and these and the films that surround it. Is that something that can help us buy into all of that?
Yes, and I think that's I don't think the movies make an overt case to that, because the production design, whether their intention was to make it classist, white collar, first class, top 1% of the 1% versus working class, what they did was they made separate universes. The production design just looks different. It doesn't look like better. I think what they did was create a completely separate design language. It's not like the top 1% have something that's great and the lower classes have the same thing but older, dirtier. It doesn't look like that. It looks like a separate universe. And that's the problem. It looks like a separate movie, and that's what makes it feel like such a massive time jump into the future, right? Their clean in the past does not look like, the old hand-me-down that comes to the working class later. It just doesn't look like that. It does not succeed. So I get the argument. I think it's fine to make that case.
I agree, and I think that's my struggle. Just looking at the interfaces on their computer terminals, I think that alone doesn't sell it to me. Right. Like that alone, it's like why does the lower class then look like they're working on Apple IIc's?
Yeah. Hey,
right?
Hey, don't sleep on the Apple IIc. That was awesome.
They were great. They were great. They're just dated. I
They are
wouldn't use one
dated.
today.
I would not use one today. Fair. But it would be that it's actually a really good comparison. It would be as if the iPhone or the iPad came before the Apple IIc. Like, it doesn't, like, technology doesn't work in that direction. That's not how it works, right? So I think they inverted it. That's the problem.
All right. Well, that was my initial tangent to kick things off. So
it was a good tangent. It was a good pass.
All right. So where should we start? What do you want to? How do you want to lead things off with this film?
Well, all right. So we've now, I think, done all of the Alien movies. Is that true? We've done them all,
barring the Alien versus Predator films, which you can argue, are they part of this franchise? Is it kind of its own separate franchise? Do we need to cover all the Predator films now also to actually have completed this franchise? I don't know anymore where the line is, but as far as just strict Alien films, this will be the final one.
Okay. So we're here. And this was, I think, fair to say, a corrective action on behalf of the studio. And so we end up, as you already said, we get this movie that is set between Alien and Aliens, looks like it's between Alien and Aliens, and attempts to say, hey, look over here, not at the Covenant Prometheus challenge that we've had over here for the last, several years. And Fede Álvarez comes in, Fede Álvarez of Don't Breathe, which I think you and I agree was fantastic, and makes Don't Breathe in the Alien universe. And by and large, it works. Here's a thing that these young people come into a space they don't understand, but they're overconfident because they think they understand it, and they deal with a predator that they don't understand, but they think they understand until they don't, until they realize that they're up against something that they cannot, that they don't have the skills or experience or capacity to be able to handle. And that conflict, I think, works very well in the context of the Alien universe. I think it is a very effective thriller setup, if not always horror setup. And I think they captured the atmosphere. I don't see how this movie isn't a win for those who were looking for an Alien movie to come into the franchise as a new property. I think this movie succeeds at the foundational level. Your thoughts?
I agree. I think what Álvarez did in wanting to kind of tell this story and the decision to kind of put it between Alien and Aliens, I think made for an interesting time period to set the story. We're not returning to post-Alien Resurrection, which would be theoretically, chronologically, the next story that we would jump to. This is, we're kind of like landing right at this point that's still fairly early in the franchise, in the year 2142. And I think what he does is he crafts an interesting story with great characters that I really enjoy. I enjoy that, he mentioned that he had the idea to craft a story with young people, because when he saw the director's cut of Aliens and the whole sequence on Hadley's Hope, where you have all these kids running around there, he's like, that is interesting that these kids are growing up in this world where suddenly there are all these monsters running about. What would it be like for them to kind of continue in that world? And so he said, take those kids, put them in their 20s, and that's kind of the vibe he was going for. And I think it works. I think he makes for an interesting story with interesting characters. And similar to the previous film, which focused on couples, this film focuses on siblings, which I do think is an interesting kind of a follow-up to that, especially in a story called Romulus, and we have the whole Romulus-Remus element of the story about the twin brothers. And I think that's an interesting setup, because again, we're creating a situation where you have characters who are going to be making emotional decisions because of the sibling connections that they have throughout the story. So, I definitely have problems with this, and we're going to get into the problems soon, but for the most part, I have a lot of fun with this, and I just really enjoy that he went for physical effects and he went for creating something that actually felt like an Alien movie.
Oh, I do too. And I think that, I always think about this as Goonies in space, because anytime you put kids, trespassing. It's a Goonies movie, and here we are with young people trespassing somewhere they have no right to be, motivated by personal stakes rather than an institutional mission. Right? That is definitely different than every other Alien that we've talked about, and they discover that this abandoned place has a very good reason to be abandoned. The franchise has kind of never done this way. It's never done this specific setup before, and the youth of the cast, considerably younger than the kind of blue collar professionals we've seen in the other movies. It really changes the emotional register of the movie. I think these kids are kids that a system has already failed before the xenomorphs arrive, right? We're already feeling for these kids just because of the lives they lead. And I think that's cool. I think that is not that kids suffer. That's not cool. but I think that's a really nice take, a very human take on the stakes of an Alien movie rather than just corporate intrigue and espionage and military science. It's different. It feels good.
Like, we've always had the element of the kind of corporate control with Weyland-Yutani and the way that they are, like, they're kind of behind everything, especially Aliens, like the first 4 films largely. That's really kind of their push to kind of control what's going on and control everything. And here we have an opportunity to look at the life of people that are stuck in this corporate controlled situation where they have I love the setup when Rain goes to kind of collect her or to kind of say, okay, I'm done, my time is up. They're like, and then you can see the woman working at the desk behind her,
so
like,
good,
manually like change it to say, no, you actually don't. Sorry, everybody has to work extra time now, and so you're not going to leave for 18 more years or whatever it is. I can't remember, but it's just that's a sense of corporate control and how Weyland-Yutani and the system that they have created is forcing this world that is again very bifurcated as far as the classes, and we're seeing the struggle that these lower class people have, that they can't get out. These blue collar workers are just stuck here. They're going to die here, and that's their life, mining and terraforming, and they'll do it till they die.
And so, in terms of world building, I think you're describing exactly my feeling. Like, it feels like we're in a set piece that works very, very well for me for an Alien movie. It would be a good movie just watching these kids try to survive. And they also run into the xenomorph, which I think we have to take as a trope of the franchise and maybe a trope of just sort of alien horror, that at some point we're going to meet the monster. And I think this movie sings that trope well. Like, just the fact that they're going on to this abandoned thing, it turns out to be a place where this alien existed. It gets us into the horror part of the movie. I don't have a problem with that. Where in this place do your problems begin?
Well, do we want to just jump into problems right now, or talk about the things that we love?
Well, do you have more that you love? I feel like we're getting into territory where you're about to unleash the dragon.
Well, no, I just want to say, speaking of things that we do love before we unleash the dragon, I got to say, like, the way that they created, again, going back to the characters, but specifically the android unit of Andy that we have here is, like, my favorite character in this film. Such an interesting way to play it. David Jonsson is just absolutely fantastic in this film. Like, for me, it's like it would have been an award-worthy performance. Like, he should have been more recognized. I just think it's such an interesting and delicate way that he performs the role, and that setup of him as kind of the surrogate brother, this found family to Rain, I think is beautiful. And we have this initial setup where, I mean, we can tell he's kind of glitchy. He's kind of, as I think, as Bishop says, they were always twitchy. But I think he was talking about Ash. But again, here, this is the one that seems the twitchy version. He seems a little twitchy and gets beat up by people who are just picking on him on this world because they know he's an android. And yeah, we're just going to pick on you. and Rain protects him. And like that relationship is such a beating heart of this film. And for me, it's everything about what they did with this movie.
I will go even farther than you. First of all, I think it's again, foundational argument that the android characters in the Alien movies are some of the most interesting characters in the movies, right? I think Andy is not only the MVP of the movie, but maybe the MVP of the franchise. Like, he may be up there with Bishop. He may be up there with, like, his identity is absolutely central to these kids, and the way they document or the way they use his abilities and his ability to be upgraded in the field and all of these. He is fantastic. Maybe I love this character so much that it is earning credibility in areas that might deserve less. But I agree with you 100%. I think he is fantastic and signature to the franchise at this point. If we're doing a tier list of best androids, S tier.
He's way up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, that's just another thing that I love. And I will say, speaking of things I love, I honestly really love how Álvarez crafts the big tentpole sequences that we have in the film. The flooded room with the swimming face huggers everywhere, absolutely fantastic. The zero gravity acid hallway and the elevator, like that whole thing plays so well. I like the final battle that we have with kind of the human xenomorph hybrid thing, the offspring. Like, I love the way that Álvarez crafts these sequences. I think he's a sharp filmmaker. Is it ever scary? No, I think on the horror front, I think he fails, but he does make a thrilling, like a great action thriller. I think that's where we stand with it here.
Well, I'm going to agree with you, but only sort of superficially, because when you watch this with people who don't consume alien or horror movies, this is damn terrifying, right? There are a couple of sequences that are straight up scary horror sequences for people who are not in the space. So I would never say that it fails. I would say that for me, is it one of the peak horror experiences I've ever had? No, it's not, but it is a great thriller. A couple of those sequences, you talk about the water sequence, but also the lower the temperature because the hopping face huggers is damn thrilling. I think that is a great sequence and builds a lot of tension by slowing everything down. I think it is incredibly well architected.
I mean, I definitely agree. I think that the thing is that coming from Fede Álvarez, who did Evil Dead, the reboot, remake, I'm not sure what we're calling it these days.
Let's stick with remake.
Remake, Don't Breathe. Fantastic horror director. That's where I put Álvarez. And so when he comes into Alien, I guess I'm expecting something that's on the level of those sorts of horror movies that really push things. And I just didn't think that this pushes things to that level. I think it works really well. And I mean, I agree. There are people who I would watch this with who would still find it scary. I just don't think it's... I just don't think it quite is as scary as it could have been.
Sidebar question.
Yeah.
Do you think that the fact that it is not scary is its effort driven by a studio that needs to hit more quadrants?
I think so. I think that likely is part of it, that they came in and said, oh, but we don't want to make it like, was this, I don't even know. Did I look and see what this was rated? Did you look and see what it was rated? Was it R?
Oh, man. If it's R, then it definitely fails.
Well, yeah, let's see, it was R. Yeah, it was R.
It's a light R.
I mean, I guess there's a lot of, I mean, you've got the chest bursters. It's rated R for bloody, violent content and language. Frightening and intense scenes, violence and gore. Those are the two things that...
Even the poster is like a Red Band poster.
Right, it is. It totally
That's a terrifying image of the face hugger on her face. So, okay. Well, that's my sidebar. I think the movie suffers a little bit from studio ownership and a misunderstanding of what R is in a conservative landscape of ratings. And yet, I think it is a great thriller on that front. Now, is there anything else you want to shout out from the rooftops about how great it is?
We'll probably circle around to some. I'm sure I'll think of some, but we can talk about problems now if we want to get into that.
I think that this movie, maybe for me, is unfairly criticized for being a greatest hits machine of the first two Alien movies.
Of the first two?
Of the entire franchise?
Of the entire franchise? There's a reference to every single prior movie in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, all right, let me take that back. I think this movie is fairly criticized for being a greatest hits machine of the franchise. Now, the bigger question is, do I have a problem with that? I don't have a problem with it universally. I do have a problem with it selectively. And the big one that obviously is going to make this show is the AI recreation of Ian Holm. Has that gotten better with you over time?
Well, okay. Well, it's not an AI recreation. It's a mask a mold from his face that they made during the Lord of the Rings films. Is it Lord of the Rings or a Hobbit? One of those. But they had made a mold of his face to have. They used that face to kind of create it, and it had its own things. And then they used some digital movements to enhance the mouth and stuff to make it mold around the words better. But
that didn't work.
Well, and this is what we just watched was the fixed version after the movie theater version, where Alvarez like, oh, we still need a little work. And so he said, we're going to fix it before it releases everywhere else. And this is the fixed version. Yes, I still have issues with Rook.
Here's the thing. Here's the problem that I have. Fundamentally, the problem that I have is that we didn't need it to be Rook. We didn't need his face. Right? They've already demonstrated in this movie that they have other android faces. Andy is another android face. Why do we have to care that this is horrific fan service done badly.
I will disagree with this point.
Really?
I actually really like that it's another Ash model or whatever. The model, I don't know what you call the model. It's the model that has Ash and Rook in it, whatever that is. Just like the model that has David and Walter in it. This is the
Is it a shame that I already forgot Walter voice? Now I'm so glad he's back.
This is an opportunity to kind of like have that same type in here. And I really actually kind of like that they did it. I struggle with the look. I definitely have that issue, but I think it plays well for me that it's the same model that we had in Alien, and that it seems to be like this is the model that the government or the corporation has come up with that does all of its most secret work. And all the stuff that they want to do under the books and covert and illegal. And so it plays for me. I really, really like it. I struggle with the look, but I actually am a fan of it being the Ian Holm identity as this particular android.
But you know what makes me crazy about it? And just hear me out. They have just one secret model android, right? Let's just say that's true. Then you have all these secret model androids that all apparently have different names. And now you're in a position where anytime you're talking to a secret model android, you have to like refer to it and say, what's your name? That seems crazy to me that they're just going to make essentially identical minions when they have the ability to create differentiating features, different skin colors, different faces, different body types. It seems like a crazy loophole that they end up doing that. I think it's a weird choice now, but okay. Hang on a second. Now, if we take that's the Watsonian, like in the movie, it's just to me it's a ridiculous thing. But I know you've got to stack it up. The Doyleistic part, right, is sure, you try stuff with your effects engine and your fancy masks, and then you look at it, and somebody has to be a grown-up enough to look at the team in charge and say, this isn't playing. People will be pissed. We have to choose a different actor in order to make this work. There are better ways to do this. This is broken, and it's not worth the fan service. I rest my case.
Okay, a couple of things in there. One, just regarding fan service, had this been the only moment that we had of fan service, I still would have been totally fine with it. I think that this genuinely plays, and I think it's an interesting, albeit off-putting element because the look. But here's the thing: I also struggle with fake Ian Holm at the end of Alien, right? When it's the head and it's supposed to kind of look like him, and there's that edit where it's like it cuts and then it's like, okay, well now it's actually really just Ian Holm with his head through a hole.
Right.
Like so I buy it. I can let myself go enough to say, okay, I'll buy it. So anyway, that's the fan service element. In the story, the Watsonian element of the story here, it's like a this is a not the strongest way to do it, but it's a model. And so like you look at like let's just say Star Wars action figures. They're going to put out the same thing for a long time until they come up with a new version and they say, okay, well now this one's going to be a different one. It's an upgrade. It's enough of a version that we need a whole new body. Or, for your case, let's say Macintosh computers. Like they're going to have a certain look for a while and then, but they're all going to have like, okay, well this one's the Sequoia and this is the, I don't know, turquoise or whatever it is. And this is the elm tree model. I'm forgetting what all my models are.
I am thrilled that you're putting this on a recorded media.
I know, it's like so terrible. Anyway, they're all the different models, but they look the same. But then they're like, oh, we need an upgrade. Let's do a full upgrade. We're going to come up with a new thing. We've got all these new things that we want to integrate into it. And now we've got the next model, and it's going to have all these, that model will look different. It goes, in this world, I guess, chronologically, it's going to start with the Ian Holm model, and then it's going to move to the David Jonsson model, and then it's going to move to the Lance Henriksen model, and and we forgot the David model way at the beginning. And so we've got these different models, and within those models, they're going to have the various upgrades. Like the David model went through a phase where they're going to do some internal upgrades and fix some things that weren't working, and now they have the Walter model, et cetera, et cetera. And so same thing with Ash, and eventually they do some upgrades and they get to Rook. And then they get to a point where like, okay, but we really need a new model. Let's just redo it all, and now we've got the Andy model. Like that's, in my head, in story, that's the way that works.
Okay.
So it's not like Cabbage Patch Kids where they just make a whole bunch of them and you're Ash and you're Rook and you're Tommy and you're Jillian. Like, it's
Jillian. I love it. Oh my God, there's a Jillian. Jillian and Tommy, what ships are they on?
You're right.
Okay.
So anyway, that's my view of the world. Okay.
Let's say I buy that. How many years after? And your premise is solid. Like you're bringing it back to your elm tree Macintosh is that.
They'll get there. That was Abel
eventually. Yeah, Abel loopholing. But and I did tell the difference between all mine because I put stickers all over my equipment, so I know exactly what model it is because it's the one with the stickers on it. How many years after Alien is this? It's many years.
Oh.
Isn't it like 70 years or something after, and like 4 years before Aliens?
It's not 4 years before. Alien timeline. Prometheus is set in 2093 to 2094. Well, that's weird. Prometheus takes place over like 24-hour period. Oh, that's right. It's New Year's. They celebrate the holiday. Alien Covenant is 2104.
Uh-huh.
Alien Earth is 2120.
Yep.
Alien 2122.
Yep.
Alien Romulus 2142. So this is 20 years after Alien.
Okay, 20 years after Alien.
Alien 2179, so 37 years later. Alien 3, same, 2179.
Oh, so Alien's 37 years after this. So I was right. It's 20 years after Alien.
After Alien.
And then another 37 years to come to Aliens.
Yeah, and Alien 3. And then Alien Resurrection jumps 200 years.
Got it.
So, and then the Alien versus Predator movies are actually 2002. So they're technically the earliest films in the franchise. Yeah.
That's bonkers.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 20 years later. Oh, and sidebar. I'm going to do my own little sidebar. Apparently, there's an Easter egg in here that I have never seen because I wasn't watching for it. At the beginning of this film, we see them go to the wrecked Nostromo and pick up they find the alien that apparently in space, the alien can protect itself by cocooning itself, and it freezes, and then when it thaws out, it can again
New
be
superpower.
Reborn. Again,
I love it.
Yeah, new superpower. So they get the alien, they bring it to the Renaissance station where our story is set. Apparently, Pete, if you look carefully, they also catch the what is the name of the pod that Ripley escapes on?
What?
Yeah.
How have I never seen that?
It is called the Narcissus, the small star-class sub-emergency vessel. She escapes in the Narcissus. In one of the shots of our space station, we actually see that they not only did they catch the alien, they caught the Narcissus. They have it sitting there. They've left Sigourney Weaver and her cat in stasis. They're sitting there. And then when the thing crashes into the rings around the planet, the Narcissus, you see it float off into space. I don't know if it ejects, but it floats off. And that's where it goes off in some crazy direction that floats for another 37 years before it's then picked up before aliens. Like, what a weird Easter egg to throw in as a way to say, oh, but they also knew where Sigourney or where Ripley was, and now she got away again. What a weird thing, right?
That's funny. I thought all of my problems with the movie happened after a certain point.
Oh, yeah.
So, I think that's a fair, I think calling it, a fan service vehicle is fair. I just don't think that all of the fan service is bad.
Okay. So we've got Bjorn showing Rain how to use the gun, much like Aliens. We've got that moment pulled from Aliens. I
don't care about that. That's fine.
What about get away from her, you
I have
bitch?
I have a problem with that. I didn't care for that.
Okay, so we've got one problem with glitchy line redux.
Yep.
Same thing with, you quoted it at the beginning. We've got a repeat of Ash's own final line. Now Rook is saying it.
Yeah.
What about that?
I have less of a problem with that because, again, Android language models. It's not perfect.
Oh, you think it was programmed?
Yeah.
Like is that his standard goodbye message?
I think it. He says goodbye to everyone. Oh my God. You just made it better. You leveled it up.
I don't relish your jet. Or what's he say? I don't. Whatever. Anyway, it's so good. Yeah, that's hilarious. Okay. That's what he always says.
Yeah.
The black goo.
Yeah.
Now, granted, it's a plot element, but we get the black goo here.
Yes, it is a plot element, and all right, let's just say I don't love it because I don't love the first two movies. I feel like a full reset would have allowed us to, separate ourselves from this. But it is a plot element. They do use it, and it becomes central to the third act, climactic fight.
Yeah, right. It's an important part of the story. So, I get it. And again, as tying into the Prometheus and Covenant story logic that we've now introduced as far as what the black goo does, how it's used, manipulated. And I guess here we get the manipulation of it by their lab to kind of create this thing that they inject later in the film. The offspring is kind of a recreation of both the newborn from Resurrection and the engineers that we see, particularly the one at the beginning of Prometheus.
Yeah, I don't. This is a thing that I think with the Alien movies, and this just drives that home. Is they keep changing the aliens, and if they keep saying that this alien is the perfect killing machine, the perfect specimen, whatever they say, is it always the perfect specimen if it keeps changing? Like, is it just the most perfect they've ever seen?
And then they go, oh, you know what? Now it's even more perfect.
Now it's even more perfect. The next movie, don't worry, it's going to be more perfect.
Yeah. Although they always beat it. So is it actually?
Is it actually perfect? Right? This is I think this is, again, it's a fundamental flaw. And so I don't love how they keep changing it. And I think, controversial hot take, I think that the final form in this movie looks really stupid.
I don't know how controversial that is. It's an odd element that we have here.
Yeah.
I may prefer the funky looking Ian Holm to the weird, I don't know, engineeromorph. I'm not exactly sure what they're like going for with that thing.
Engineeromorph.
It's such a weird looking bebe. I mean, that's a big bebe.
It is a big bebe.
They ended up. Yeah. So, all right. Well, anyway, that is honestly my biggest gripe with this film is I felt like Alvarez is constantly winking at the audience. He can't trust the story to stand on its own, and he feels the need to throw just constant things in from all the other things that makes it feel like I'm not watching an original movie that's set in this world. I'm watching a greatest hits, and that is incredibly frustrating for me.
I absolutely see that. It's a lot. And I feel like I don't mind the occasional wink, but this movie is a bit made up of winks, and all the stuff that it does well, it just takes you out of the movie for a beat. And I think that's a problem. So,
yeah. All right, we're going to take a quick break, but first, you can find the show on YouTube, and you can join us live when we record. We'll even take your questions in the post-show chit-chat, and members get the full post-show conversation and always know what to listen to next. Subscribe to The Next Reel on YouTube. The link to this episode is in the show notes. We'll be right back.
You know what the Next Reel family of film shows actually is? It's not just shows you keep up with. It's a place you come back to.
The Next Reel's film-by-film conversations, CinemaScope's deep dives into movements and genres, the film board on whatever's in theaters, Movies We Like's craft conversations, Sitting in the Dark's horror breakdowns. It's all here, waiting.
If that sounds like how you already spend your time browsing, discovering, going back to something you bookmarked months ago, consider becoming a member.
For $5 a month or $55 a year, you get early ad-free access to all 5 shows a full week before they go public, plus exclusive bonus content that doesn't live anywhere else.
Think of it as your library card. Head to TruStory.fm/join. That's TRUSTORY.fm/join. And sign up today.
The Next Reel family of film shows. The conversation is already here. Come find your next film.
Okay, so we've been ranting for a while.
Yeah, good rant.
About some things. It was a good rant, but let's take a step back and talk about some of the effects stuff. My goodness.
Yes, so good. I love what they do here. I mean, we were just ripping on the big final offspring alien, but it still looks great. Like the physical effects of that thing, of that basketball player in the outfit. I mean, it looks really cool. Like it looks physically there. Like it's got you know, it's frightening in the way that they did so much physically with the aliens, and not only like bringing old effects teams back who'd worked on the previous films, doing upgrades to the suits to actually enhance what they're capable of, particularly like with the face huggers, like the chest burster. Everything just actually feels like it's there, and I think it does the job that the 2 prequels never could have, because so much of those films are digital.
Yeah, I think that's right. And this is a note that we already made. Like when you look at the effects, it feels very much like these belong between Alien and Aliens, right? It feels present in that space. And I think that's I think that's a huge win. Everything feels really grounded. Even the and I know there's cleanup. I know there's all wonderful work by digital artists to make these effects really sing. But this hybrid approach I think works very, very well.
What do you think of we have a new phase of evolution that we see in this movie? It goes from the face hugger laying the egg in the body, chest burster popping out, and we've never seen how the chest burster suddenly gets to be so big. Now we have a new scene or new phase where the chest burster cocoons itself as it grows into the full-sized xenomorph. we see that when they discover it and they try to stick the cattle prod in it, and it like spits alien acid back in his face. Well, what do you think of that new phase?
I like it. I like it. I like that they're filling in a gap, and it's a gap that we have at least subconsciously had since Alien. Right? There is a point where it's 14 inches long, and then it's 9 feet tall.
It's like, is it eating a lot?
Right.
How does it get?
What is it eating? But I want to take just a trip down Acid for Blood lane, because there's a lot of it in this movie, and it becomes central to a major action beat. And I want to know how it plays for you. I'm talking about, they introduce it early, and there's the threat that we see in Rook's lab, where the acid has gone through however many decks. But the corridor scene where we see the sort of nest, I guess, would you call it a nest? The long nest of aliens.
They're always
that have
doing
taken
something
over.
like that.
Oh, man, yeah. She at one point turns off gravity so that she can just lay waste to the aliens that are coming down the corridor, and that leaves a lot of alien blood floating in space. How did this sequence work for you?
It always, I mean, it plays really well. I think it's cool. It's one of those things where I'm like, okay, I feel like inevitably there probably will be some acid that kind of gets pushed down toward the floor, as opposed to always just kind of spinning around like it never touching anything. It's like it does move in directions, and so at some point that direction seems plausible. But I buy it. I think it plays well. It's a fun sequence. The concept is because they're at the very bottom of the space station, and the only thing between them and space is the bottom floor. So if it goes through that, it's not like it's just going to another deck below. It's like they get sucked into space. So I think it plays, and I think it's kind of fun. I think there are times where I'm like, is this silly? But I think largely, that I buy it. I think largely I buy it.
It doesn't take you out, is what I hear you saying. It doesn't take you out of the movie.
It doesn't take me out. No, I buy it. I mean, I think that it plays okay. It's one of those moments where I wonder if there could have been another way around it. Like, I really love how the gravity on, gravity off element works when they're in the elevator shaft. Like, I think that's a fantastic way to kind of deal with the gravity there. I don't know if the hallway is as much a favorite for me as the elevator, but I think it plays okay. It plays okay.
Yeah, for the elevator, it gives us a sense of scale that we don't really get elsewhere, which I think is great. This is a giant space station, and that elevator, shaft is a big thing. I like it. I think it's a solid play. The corridor sequence, I think, is great, but the thing that takes me out of it is your point. Like, it is a little bit unbelievable that there isn't more acid that's just thrust and drifting through just propulsion of the aliens as they are being massacred in what is now called the Romulus alien holocaust. I mean, it's just awful what she does to this entire species in this corridor, and we don't have more risk. It leads to ultimately a risky sequence, but I just expect it to be elsewhere. And for a movie that is super, super practical, it seems like a risky gambit to put a thing where everything's digital in this sequence. All of the blood floating around, the greatest threat is digital, and all of their acrobatics are moving around between, digital artifacts. It starts to look a little bit created compared to the rest of the movie.
Yeah, and I can definitely feel that. I definitely feel that. I like the action sequence, but to your point, it's on the lower end of the action sequences for me.
Lower end of the action sequences for me in a movie with, I think, some really good action sequences. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's fine. Okay, so back to, was there more you wanted to talk about with the elevator?
I think it's a great way to kind of play that, as far as like them trying to get up and down this shaft with no elevator in anti-gravity. The aliens are pursuing them. There's a gun stuck somewhere. Like, it's well crafted. And I think in the scope of things, I think that it's an action sequence that is well designed, and they pull it off.
What do you think if we move away from some of the effects and action sequences? Galo Olivares is the DP on this. What do you think of just how it was shot and colored?
I liked the look of the whole thing going more of an orange as opposed to kind of bluer that we had seen in the previous films. I like the look. I love the production design of this space station is fantastic. The separate halves, the Romulus half and the Remus half, and how they both have kind of a different feel, and the tone and just the way that they crafted it. Again, could they have done more cinematographically to kind of create a more horror space as opposed to just kind of like an action thriller space? Maybe. But I still think that it looks great. I think that it was well put together. Like, especially like, look at the planet at the beginning. It feels very much like a planet where you're living where you just never see the sun. Like they pulled that off.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it is I think it's beautiful and lived in, and threatening in its own sort of civil way. And I thought it was. I think the whole package in terms of the look and feel of the movie is a success.
Yeah, for sure.
Anybody else? So Cailee Spaeny as Rain. What do you think of her as our lead? This is coming off of an experience with the female lead in the last movie that felt a little bit watered down.
Well, and I will say in both cases, it feels like the directors again are like feeling the need to make it very Ripley-esque from Alien. Like in both cases, they have so many beats that repeat that feel like they're it's a nod and a wink to remind us about Ripley. And I don't think we needed to do that, because I think Cailee does a great job on her own. I don't think she needed that. She does a great job playing this struggling person whose parents have died in this crappy world that they're trying to terraform in the mines. She has Andy, the only thing in her life, kind of her brother, but secretly is like not telling him that we're going to go to this other place, but I can't take you because you're not allowed. And so this, as our change character of somebody who is hiding things from her own, we'll just say brother, only to, at the end of it, say, you're coming with me, we'll figure things out. And just like to kind of have that emotional development of her character over the course of this, I think plays really well. I think I haven't seen Cailee in anything that I haven't really enjoyed her in. I think she's always been good of what I've seen so far.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously Pacific Rim Uprising, where she started. I saw her in that.
I don't even remember her in that.
Big, crazy action movie. Actually, she started in a short in terms of films, Counting to 1,000. Haven't seen that. But Bad Times at the El Royale, On the Basis of Sex, Vice. I didn't see The Craft Legacy, or I don't think I saw How It Ends. I think I missed that one. Oh, Priscilla. She was Priscilla Presley. Priscilla. Civil War, obviously we covered Civil War on this show, and then Alien, Romulus, Wake Up Dead Man, and she's gonna be with Garland for Elden Ring, filming now. That ought to be.
Yeah,
you're a big Elden Ring fan.
Civil War you covered on Filmboard, not on this show. We haven't covered Civil War.
Right.
Yeah, I've never played Elden Ring.
Well, boy, are you in for a treat.
Oh, okay.
I've never played it either. I've watched the playthroughs on YouTube, and I've read stuff about it, just getting ready to talk about Garland stuff. But
she is listed as being, she and David Jonsson are the two people that are attached to Alien Romulus 2, which is still very much in development.
That's great. Boy, I'll see David Jonsson again in a heartbeat.
The continuing journey of them as they go to their new planet, I guess.
Do you think Jillian and Tommy will be there?
I hope so. Oh man.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I really enjoy this film. I have a lot of fun with it. The problems really weigh it down for me, but I do have a good time with it. So
me too.
Should we move into the back half?
Let's do the back half.
All right, let's do it. First, let's take a quick break.
The Next Reel is a production of TruStory FM, engineering by Andy Nelson, music by Tsabutan, Jimmy Svensson, Oriel Novella, and Eli Catlin. Andy usually finds all the stats for the awards and numbers at the-numbers.com, boxofficemojo.com, imdb.com, and wikipedia.org. Find the show and the full archive at trustory.fm. You can follow us from there too. Plus, you can find out how to become a member and go further with every episode. Check out our merch store at thenextreel.com/merch, and if your app allows ratings and reviews, please consider doing that for our show. All right, Andy, sequels and remakes. Give it to me.
Well, there was a tie-in prequel comic book that bridged the events from Alien to this. It was just a one issue that really focused on this space station renaissance that gave us more context for what happened after they brought this alien from the Nostromo here. That's kind of the that comic book. As for a sequel to this, after this film came out, Álvarez said this, quote, "We really try to think about it more in terms of story and if it needs another chapter and whether people want to know what happens next. So we'll wait to see what people think and if people ask for it. My philosophy is that you should never make a sequel in 2 years. You've got to get away. You've got to get the audience to really want it. If you think about Alien and Aliens, there's 7 years between them, but we definitely have ideas about where it should go." He also had this to say, which I kind of love. He said, maybe it's regarding a third Alien versus Predator film. Maybe it's something I have to co-direct with my buddy Dan Trachtenberg. Maybe we should do like Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez did with From Dusk Till Dawn. I'll direct a half and he'll direct a half.
Oh my God.
I would love that.
I would show up for that. Yeah.
Yeah. Then October 2024, this is a little later after the film came out, the 20th Century Studios president said, "We're working on a sequel idea now. We haven't quite closed our deal with Fede, but we are going to, and he has an idea that we're working on." By February 2025, he said he was currently writing the script. It was the next project he was going to do. So going back to his comments about, I'm going to wait 7 years, he's like, very next year, already doing it. By June, it was in pre-production. And by September 2025, he said the script was done, but he would not return to direct it. He's only going to remain on as a producer, which makes me wonder if it really was a thing where he's like, you know what, the world doesn't need this just yet. If the studio wants to push it, let them do it. But for me, I'm going to wait. Like, it's interesting because it definitely feels very much like we are in a world controlled by these corporate studios now that just want to churn stuff out constantly. And, you know, I mean, there was 7 years from Alien Covenant to Alien Romulus. We had another big 7-year gap. And now that Disney owns it, I think we're going to just see, I mean, Alien Earth is already on TV, and I just think we're going to see stuff getting cranked out constantly.
All right. Well, it's fine. It's fine. I know I'm on the record having liked Alien Earth more than you by, I think, a wide margin. Because you liked it so little.
It's not that I wasn't enjoying the show as a concept. It's just I could not watch these adults acting as children. Like it was the hardest thing for me to get past. They just couldn't pull it off, and I just thought it was so stupid, and I had to stop. I made it like 2 episodes.
I understand. Yeah. No, I totally get that. And the thing I regret the most is that I kind of liked it, and that I know because of that, they're going to just keep shoveling it down my throat. And that's the part that I resent. Like, I do want more of it, and I hate myself for wanting more of it.
Yeah.
All right. How to do it award season?
I did okay for itself. 16 wins with 55 other nominations, lots of them in technical categories. Like this one at the Oscars, nominated for Best Visual Effects, but lost to Dune Part 2. At the Saturn Awards, it won for Best Horror Film. It was nominated for Best Film Direction, Production Design, and Visual Effects, but lost to Dune Part 2. Nominated for Best Makeup, but lost to The Substance. David Jonsson was nominated for Best Supporting Actor, but lost to Hugh Jackman in Deadpool and Wolverine. This one really left me scratching my head, though, because Cailee Spaeny was nominated for Supporting Actress.
Nope.
What? Like,
that doesn't make any sense to me at all. Then who is the actress? Dora?
Yeah, who's the... Yeah. It makes no sense.
Alien
Supporting-
Romulus, Dora gets pregnant. That makes her
It's so dumb.
Yeah, it's really dumb.
So dumb. But anyway, she lost to Rebecca Ferguson in Dune Part 2. Last but not least, Visual Effects Society Awards won for Outstanding Model in a Photoreal or Animated Project for the actual model built of the Renaissance Space Station.
Mhm.
So there you go.
All right. How to do at the box office.
Well, for Alvarez's entry into the franchise, he had a budget of $80 million, which is the same in today's dollars as it was just released 2 years ago. The movie premiered August 12th, 2024, then opened wide August 16th opposite My Penguin Friend and Ryan's World the Movie, Titan Universe Adventure. And this easily took the number one spot. It stayed in the top 10 for 6 weeks and went on to earn $105.3 million domestically and $245.5 million internationally for a total gross of $350.8 million in today's dollars. All told, that lands the film with an adjusted profit per finished minute of almost $2.3 million. A great way to rejuvenate the franchise.
I think that is a great way to rejuvenate the franchise. I don't think there was ever any hope of making $1 billion movie out of this this entry into this franchise. 350 on 80 seems like a noble win for Alvarez.
Well, if anything, it's a message to Disney that people want more. Make them, Disney. Get them on the machine. Start cranking them out.
There you are. You make my strong opinion seem so stupid. Like, why am I sending this signal?
Yeah. Hey, I enjoyed it too.
Yeah.
I'm that's the thing. If they make stuff we enjoy, it's it's a hard dance. It's a hard dance.
It really is. Well, and that's why the fact that the Alien franchise for the last two movies spent the entire time trying to be about something that Ridley Scott wanted to say, and then Alien Romulus decides to be scary instead and succeeds most of the time. I think Fede Álvarez delivers exactly what he needed to deliver for this franchise. And in spite of all of the challenges and the fan service, the problems that we have with it, I think for the most part, this was a really satisfying watch.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, my big gripe is that I just wish that Alvarez trusted the audience and made a film that stood on its own merits, because I think it could have, as opposed to relying on feeling like he had to make all these callbacks, which is endlessly frustrating for me.
Yeah, I get it.
So,
all right, good film.
Well, that is it for our conversation about Alien Romulus and a current wrap on our Alien series until someone decides to return to it. Next week, we're adding a one-off to our Ellen Burstyn series with Resurrection, the 1980 Daniel Petrie film in which Burstyn plays a woman who, after surviving a near-fatal car accident, discovers she has the ability to heal others. It's a quiet, deeply felt film that earned Burstyn an Academy Award nomination for Best Actress, and one that sits well outside the mainstream, more spiritual drama than genre film. We'll dig into why it matters and why Burstyn is so extraordinary in it next week. Let's do our ratings.
Letterboxd.com/The Next Reel. That's where you can find our HQ page where we review all of the films that we talk about on the show. Andy, what are you going to do for Romulus?
I enjoy it. I have a lot of fun with it, but the fan service, man, just I roll my eyes as much as I enjoy this film. So 3 stars and a heart is where I sit with this one.
Yeah, I don't feel as strongly as you do about the fan service, but I'll tell you that I remain unconvinced about the model numbers of the of the super secret spy scientists, and I think that was just a really poor decision and took me right out of the movie in a way that has never succeeded at bringing me back at the same level. Like, it is a massive interruption and a hard left turn for me when I watch this movie, and it's a distraction of a lot going well. I hate the final alien character design. I think it looks really dumb, and so as a result, I'm at 3 stars and a heart too.
All right. Well, that's an easy average. We end up at 3 stars and a heart. That's over at our account on Letterboxd, which you can find at The Next Reel. You can find me there at Soda Creek Film and Pete at Pete Wright. So what did you think about Alien Romulus? We would love to hear your thoughts. Hop into the Show Talk channel over in our Discord community, where we will be talking about the movie this week.
When the movie ends,
our conversation begins.
Letterboxd, give us, Andrew.
As Letterboxd always doeth.
All right. There are a lot of likes on
Yes,
the popular
there are.
reviews, and so we're not going to, bend to the tides. We're just going to read some popular ones. What's yours?
Mine is Sriracha Chow, 2 stars, no heart. I don't even hate The Force Awakens, but I'm not sure if Alien needed its own Force Awakens.
Okay, that's actually pretty good. There's a lot going on in that one. I have a 4-star from Louis Peitzman who says, I'm starting to feel like the Weyland-Yutani Corporation does not have our best interests at heart. What if you had never seen an Alien movie and you started with Prometheus?
Oh. Ooh.
Think about
and
that.
then go where?
Straight through.
Just all chronological?
Chronological. What about that? What does that do for your viewing experience?
Well, no, you'd have to start with Alien versus Predator.
Okay, that presumes they're all canon, and I don't know that I stand by that. Let's just take the Aliens. What does that do to your viewing experience? You see the engineers first, and they make this weird thing, and then suddenly it's Ripley? That's such a weird leap. I don't think I've ever thought about this. Like, that may be a really weird leap, or not a weird leap at all. Maybe it makes total sense. Oh God, were they secretly genius? Just not for us?
I think there would be a drastic shift going from Alien Covenant to I don't know if you throw Alien Earth in there, and then landing on Alien and going, whoa, why is everything suddenly so dirty now?
Yeah.
And old looking like that? I think that is a hard thing. But story-wise, I mean, it's an interesting idea to see that evolution. I don't know. Maybe one day I will actually watch it that way, just to get a read on how things play in chronological order.
Because you're meeting Rook after meeting Ash directly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That might be... I don't know how to clear my head enough to be able to take those in authentically in order. All right, bad idea. Don't do it. I don't recommend it. This show does not stand behind that. Thanks, Letterboxd.